You can show the first slide. Priya ma'am, you can show the first slide.
PPT का.
हाँ. कॉलेज प्रेयर है ना? इसके पहले वाला. वन मिनट प्रिया मैम, इमर्जिंग ऊपर चले गया है. इमर्जिंग को ड्रॉप देना पड़ेगा जरा. बलानी सर 1 मिनट. टाइटल में.
हाँ 1 मिनट.
Anyhow, we are online.
Lubna, can I start then?
What?
No, this sharing. It's okay, no?
Yeah,
No?
yeah. Yes. Dr. Balani sir.
Yes.
We have with us the resource person Tasneem Fatehi. She's joined in.
Good morning.
Jayashree ma'am has also joined in.
Great. So welcome, Jayashree ma'am. Good morning.
Thank you. Morning. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you digitally after a long time.
Yes.
So we can start now.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
Take care, all of you.
Same to you, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am. Tasneem ma'am, welcome to Bombay Teachers Training College.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
We have with us Dr. Bhagwan Balani, our principal.
Morning.
Dr. Mandeep Kocher, vice principal.
Morning.
She's the resource person for today. And we have with us our chief guest for today, the inaugural session, who will be doing the inaugural session, Dr. Jayashree Imbaraj. She is the principal from KK College. So should we begin?
Definitely, please.
A graceful and warm morning to all our participants, teaching fraternity, my dear students and my dear colleagues. The goal of education is understanding. The goal of training is performance. I welcome you all with this quote to our second faculty development program on the theme Emerging Pedagogies for the 21st Century Classroom. If you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. With this quote, I believe that we all have gathered here to learn something new and learn something that we all would like to imbibe in us and carry forward in our classrooms. With this, I invite our principal, Dr. Bhagwan Balani, to introduce the session for today and welcome our guest for today. Over to Dr. Bhagwan Balani.
Good morning to one and all. Thank you, Dr. Lubna Mansoori. Honorable, respected, my colleague, Dr. Jayashree Imbaraj, Principal, KK College of Education. Dr. Mandeep Kochar, Vice Principal, Bombay Teachers Training College, Dr. Meenakshi Lar, Dr. Rajiv Jha, Dr. Azam Ansari, Dr. Manisha Tyagi ma'am, Dr. Lubna ma'am, Dr. Priya, Dr. Raju, Dr. Neelu. I must take all these names because BTTC is a very small family and we can take their names. And we are all contemporary. And we have been working very hard since last 6 months on digital platform to reach out, no doubt to our students, but the entire professional community. So it's my proud privilege to welcome you all. And even I will welcome today's resource person, Madam Tasneem Fateh, to the BTTC's digital platform. Now, this webinar series has been conceptualized keeping in mind the emerging pedagogies in the digital world. Now, as we know that we are far from each other physically, but we should equally opposite, very closer through the digital mode as far as learning is concerned. So I believe that the technology has enabled us to nullify the gap, and by even maintaining the social distancing, we can continue our education. So this is our second endeavor of faculty development program. In this program, the focus is to acquaint and help the younger generation, younger teachers from prospective teachers with the emerging pedagogies. Now, when we talk about the emerging pedagogies, we can classify it different ways. But now, since the learner-centric education is being felt the most important, so we need to discuss how we can reach out to the learners and how we can make them engaged in the process of the learning. It's a big challenge for all of us in the digital world. And I believe that our resource persons are very young. Young means they are teaching in international schools. They are our own alumni. They have got a significant experience in the field of teaching in international schools. And we believe that they have excelled in their own areas, in their own domain, and they are going to do well. They are doing well, and they are going to give you the tips, how to reach out to the students, even at the distant places. Another component which is emerging in the field of education is the theoretical theater arts, performing arts, which has been experienced, which has been, we can say, being advocated in the present scenario, in the present context. So we also need to learn how a teacher can make use of special language, special expressions, body language, and how a teacher can connect through those modes with the larger audience, with the students. So we are going to experience all those things, and I believe that these things are going to change the entire, we can say, pedagogies or the game as far as the face-to-face teaching learning process is concerned in the future. But before that, we would like to give our students an opportunity to meet these professionals online and take the tip from them how to be effective in the classroom. So I'm very happy that our own students like Priyanka Babbar is doing very well in NSSL school. Azmin Mistry in Bombay International School. They were the star students when they were there at Bombay College. And it reminds me in Inoshka and Angela also equally did a wonderful job when they were there with us at BTTC. So we are proud of them. They are definitely doing very good in their respective schools. And even I'm also thankful to Madam Tasneem Fateh for accepting our invitation and being a resource person on the request of our dear alumni Priyanka Babbar. She has been invited by her, and we are thankful to you. And ma'am, we are looking forward to learn new lessons ourselves for us, and even for our students. So I keep the session open, and let me talk about the KK College. KK College is one of the renowned colleges of education in Mumbai, and we have been working very closely with KK College. We have got very good collaboration and association with the principal and the faculty of KK College, and we have conducted couple of programs together, and we are looking forward to have much more collaboration with KK College. And I'm thankful to Dr. Jaishin Baraj, a leader, a mentor, we can say a guide, wonderful professional colleague. She has been motivating us, becoming IQC member, becoming a POS member at Bombay Teachers Training College and HSLC University. So I'm very thankful to her that she has accepted our invitation and has graced this occasion inaugural function as a chief guest on this platform. And we are also going to learn very good tips from her. So once again, I welcome you, ma'am, and I welcome each one of you. And looking forward to learn a lot from all of you during this week. Over to Lubna, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Before I introduce our guest, I would like to say few words about the theme. I start with saying that changes in society, student expectations, and technology were already motivating instructors to rethink pedagogy and teaching methods before the pandemic. The new century introduced significant changes in teaching methods. Pedagogy of the 20th century differs from the pedagogy of the 21st century. Since the beginning of 21st century, there has been many changes in the development of the national and world education. The most observable phenomena is now the internetization of society and the penetration of digital technologies into the learning through drama and theater. With this, I would like to introduce our today's guest, Dr. Jayashree Imbaraj, Principal, KK College of Education. Before I begin introducing this great dynamic lady, a lady who's so humble, who's full of energy, who loves to experiment and innovate new things. For her, I would say the job of an educator is to teach students to see the vitality in themselves. Teachers can change lives with just the right mix of talk, and challenges. With this quote, I welcome Dr. Jayashree Imbaraj to Bombay Teachers Training College.
Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am. Ma'am holds a doctorate in education. Her expertise lies in the areas of educational psychology, action research, international education, methodology of teaching of history. Dr. Jayashree Imbaraj has more than 25 years of experience in teacher training. She is a consultant to various schools and colleges for pedagogy, action research, and capacity building for teachers. She is also a consultant to British Council for the Global Teacher Accreditation Program and as a certified core skills trainer. She has several years of experience coordinating several international projects across UK, Kenya, and India on global citizenship, international climate change, gardens for life. Her areas of interest are participatory and collaborative research and content development on various educational ideas. Her leisure interests are reading, traveling, theatre, and films, with her interest we feel that we have identified the right person for today's occasion. I welcome Dr. Jayashree Imbaraj to say few words of wisdom for our students, our participants, and our colleagues. Welcome, ma'am, to Bombay Teachers Training College.
Thank you, Dr. Lubna. It's such a pleasure to be back with BTDC. You're a wonderful team and doing wonderful things. And as you say, you are also experimenting and going great guns. So let me congratulate you all because what you are doing is so relevant for teachers today. But I also need to congratulate all the teachers who have signed up for this program, the participants who have signed up for this program. Because during COVID, we have been frontline workers who have kept schools and families alive. Your hard work, your commitment during COVID is unbelievable. But within that, you have found time and space for doing a professional development course. Isn't that commendable? And most important, I would like to say is that you are trying to be relevant because theater is the most relevant pedagogic methods today that is going to always outlive all methods. Today we know that we have overdone the internet teaching. Sometimes we have reinvented the wheel and we're teaching the same things again and again, right through internet. So we really need to reinvent ourselves and understand that there are other methods that can bring children alive. And 21st century skills need not be only through digitization or digital technology. Digital technology is definitely important. It cannot substitute certain things. And theater for me is something that you cannot substitute at all. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Ma'am, very well. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Ma'am, we can hear you.
Absolutely clear.
Yeah. So the theater is such a beautiful way of learning. In fact, in our college, we have regular theater programs. We have stage shows. And we also recently did with PDTC improvisation of for professional development. I remember in my training in theater, once we were doing an activity on mirroring where we do an action and then groups it's fast.
Jayashree, ma'am, are you there?
And I thought quick bring. Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
No, ma'am, we can't hear you. Could you be a little loud, ma'am?
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, did you hear the story that somebody came and tapped my shoulder during the theater workshop? Did you hear me that? Did you hear that?
Sure.
Hello. So I was sharing a wonderful. I was sharing a wonderful story of. 1 minute. I'm on a conference call. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I was sharing that I was in a theater workshop once and I was doing this mirroring activity and I was doing it with such speed. So others could not copy me and I thought I was very smart. Then somebody came, the facilitator came, tapped my shoulder and said, Jayashree, slow is intelligent. And through theater, I learned that it is not fast, it is not speed that will carry you on. It is also that today ideologies have changed, research has changed about what is being intelligent. And we have kinesthetic intelligence. We have so many kinds of intelligences, which theater promotes. And 21st century skills of collaboration, critical thinking, creative thinking, all this happens in a theater workshop. Most important is the student becomes a co-creator and the teacher becomes somebody who can equally participate with the student to create something new. So I'm really, really proud that teachers have signed up for a program on theatre. I want to leave you with a short story. I want to tell you a story of Charles Plum. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, ma'am. You could be a bit loud, ma'am, or
All
little
right.
loud.
All right. Let me increase the volume. Yeah. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So Charles Plum was a jet aircraft officer in the Vietnam, pantaloon in the Navy. And he used to fly these flights for the Vietnamese. And during the war, he played a great role. Almost 52 missions he did. One day he was having tea after retirement with his wife. And somebody who was very ordinary looking came to him and said, "Are you Charles Plum? And did were you working on this jet flight on Vietnam?" Um, Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Can't hear
Yeah.
you, ma'am. Lot of voice break.
No, I stopped because there was some. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
All right. So what happened is this Charles Plum was an officer flying aircrafts for the Vietnam army, the navy, and when he was flying this, he had to one day suddenly land in one spot, and therefore he had to use his parachute and get down. So when he got down, he was safe, and he was taken as prisoner. But within 2 years, he was released, and his life was saved. So one day after his retirement, if you can't hear me, you need to tell me.
Ma'am, I will.
Yeah. So after his retirement, he was having tea with his wife in a restaurant, and somebody came to him and said, "Sir, are you Charles Plum?" He says, "Yes." "How do you know?" So he says, "I was the one who used to tie your parachute." So Charles Plum was very touched. He said, "This man tied my parachute for 52 times on all my missions on the ship, and I never noticed him." And when you tie a parachute, you make layers and layers of cloth which you tie so correctly so that the person, when he opens the parachute, it opens well. So he told the man that I owe my life to you actually. I lived because you had tied my parachute well. I think you teachers who are doing professional development today are somebody who is going to tie the parachute for the students. And therefore, you are. Charles Plum went on to become a motivational speaker, and he used to always start his talk by who is taking care of your parachute, who ties my parachute. And you are going to tie your parachute for your students, because all these skills that you're going to learn in these 5 days, you are going to put it in your classroom. And through your teaching, your students are going to learn life skills. And these life skills are like a parachute that you are tying for them to land safely in life. Thank you so much, teachers, and wish you all the best. I know you have great resource persons. Today also, Tasneem ma'am is going to take you through the sessions, and I've seen all good names, great names. And I know you're going to have a wonderful 5 day. Many FDPs are very boring, and I'm sure these FDPs will be very exciting. You will be changed teachers. You will be teachers who will be relevant for the next generation. Thank you so much. I on this platform would like to thank the management of BDTC, the principal, Dr. Balani, all the vice principal, the senior staff, and all my colleagues there, your students of BDTC, and the resource people. and of course the participants for inviting me. And I wish all of you a wonderful, wonderful workshop. All the best. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for your good wishes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Jayashree ma'am. Thank you for giving us that parachute and telling us that it's very important that what we fill that parachute with, and definitely we will fill the parachute with fun, joy, happiness for our students in the coming generation and coming years. Thank you once again for being with us, for accepting our invitation and sharing the virtual platform at Bombay Teachers Training College. We look forward for many such collaboration and meeting, ma'am. Thank you once again. We go on to the next session. That is the actual session for today's webinar. That is emerging pedagogies for the 21st century skill. But before we begin this session, we would like to take the God's blessing and begin this session with a small college prayer. Please join your hands for the college prayer. Priya ma'am. Please begin.
हाँ अभी सॉरी वो बीटीटी से कुछ इनॉग्रल था साइन किया मैंने अभी इनका रह जा तो मैं उसमें भी जाना पड़ेगा मुझे उधर जाना है कि इधर ही करना है ना ऑनलाइन नहीं उधर नहीं जाना है इनको लीव किया फिर भी आवाज
Thank you. I now invite our very own Diane Gonzalez to introduce our resource person for today. We have a team of resource person. We have 3 people who will be doing the session for today. I invite Diane Gonzalez to begin the introduction.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning to one and all. On behalf of Bombay Teachers Training College, I, Ms. Diane Gonsalves, feel overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our resource person for today. Lauren Gunderson, An American playwright once said, if you take a child to the theater, not only will they practice empathy, they might also laugh uproariously or come home singing about science or want to know more about history or tell you what happened at school today or spend dinner discussing music or learn how to handle conflict or start becoming future patrons of the arts. I feel glad to announce that we have not one, but three eminent personalities with us who will further enlighten us on engage with drama, teach with joy. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. And what better event than today's to exemplify this quote? Ms. Tasneem Fatehi, an alumni of Trinity College, London, has worked in the field of theatre and education for over 20 years as a theatre educator, a children's theatre director, and an arts manager. Some of Ms. Fatehi's achievements include setting up of an after-school drama institute in speech, drama, and performance arts in 2002 in Mumbai. During this period, she has also worked with thousands of students and directed several plays with children. In 2008, she also founded the Theatre Professionals Private Limited, and currently she heads Theatre Professionals Education as well as designs programs for schools. This way, Ms. Fatehi empowers teachers to use drama as a pedagogical tool to enhance the teaching learning process. Ma'am, your achievements are truly inspiring. Thank you for being present amongst us today. We also have Ms. Kriti Tiwari, who has been trained at the Shri Ram Center for Performing Arts and has been working with theatre professionals education since 2012. Initially worked as a drama facilitator and a director of children's plays at several city schools, Ms. Tiwari currently works as a core member of Theatre Professionals Education content team and has specialized in pre-primary drama education. She has also been instrumental in designing programs for pre-primary teachers and executing the one-year program at Sun City School. Ms. Tiwari is also one of the founding members of the initiative called the School Library Project, an online arts resource for children during the lockdown. It is a great honor to have you here with us. Thank you, ma'am. We also have amongst us a drama specialist, Ms. Srividya Srinivas, who has more than a decade's experience in theatre and education. She holds a master's in applied theatre from the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. Her main focus is theatre for development and theatre in education, with a strong impetus on research in these areas. Ms. Srinivas has also taught theatre arts for the IB and IGCSE curriculum and currently works as a content designer, facilitating workshops for teachers and learners. We feel privileged to have you here with us, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diane, for a wonderful introduction. I request the participants to please mute. I request the participants to please mute themselves. There's a lot of disturbance. I request Dr. Bhagwan Balani to make Shri Vidya ma'am, Tasneem ma'am and Kirti ma'am the host, co-host for the session. Shri Vidya ma'am, Tasneem ma'am and Kirti ma'am as the co-host for the session. Over to you, Tasneem ma'am. We begin the session. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we start, can I just ask if there's a possibility of spotlighting the three of us as well? Because that way the participants will be able to see us together, and all the exercises that we will be running will start making sense. Is that possible?
Is that possible, sir? Priya ma'am?
No, it naturally will happen. If you once you will speak, you will be there on the focus. So whosoever speak, will get the focus.
Yes, sir. So the thing is, all of us are going to be conducting something together, demonstrating something together, for which three people will have to be like seen together. In speaker view, only one person can be seen. So if you can spotlight the three of us, that would be really helpful.
So will you help me? How shall I do that?
Definitely. So if you just figure out our thumbnail, our video thumbnails, and if you right click on that, you will get the option of spotlighting.
Yeah.
There are three dots. If you click on that, you'll get the option of spotlighting.
Just a minute. Now, yeah, one. Okay. One I
And if you want, so I'm on spotlight now. If you can spotlight Tasneem and Srividya as well, the same way.
Just a minute now. Okay.
Sorry.
Done.
Is that possible?
Yes, Tasneem, you're on as well. Now only
wow.
Srividya.
This is a new thing we have learned. You're not knowing this. Teaching us.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
First lesson learned today. Thank you.
Thank you. And we just request all the other participants, if you could please go on mute, because that way we will be heard and we won't have any disturbances from the outside. So requesting all participants to please go on mute. Yes, thank you. Should we begin? Yes? Okay. Thank you all for being here. It's a nice large group and we're really, really honored. And actually, I'm more touched at this moment after hearing Jayashree ma'am's speech. She resonated everything that we'd like to actually say at this webinar. So I feel like our work is that much easier now because she's really set the platform for us so beautifully. I think all of us were just grinning from ear to ear listening to her speak. So Jayashree ma'am, if you're around, thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Balani and Ms. Mansoori, for giving us this opportunity. We're really delighted to be here. I'll just start with telling you about our organization first, so you have a bit of a background. Theatre Professionals Education is a branch of a bigger company dedicated to creating cultures and best practices for learning through theatre in education. We're a team of drama educators who found that theatre and drama hold the tools for what Ms. Jayashree spoke about, actually, integration, inclusivity, 21st century learning skills, and a big one that is so relevant at this moment, which is adaptability. Drama for learning methods really allow us to understand and access this work both for ourselves as educators and for our learners. As a company over the last 12 years, we have worked with schools and teachers across the country to ensure that every child experiences drama during their school years. Again, it resonates what Diane was saying. Take your child to the theatre. That's exactly what we push forward to. And our current work focuses on empowering teachers to use drama as a pedagogical tool for learning, which makes learning more experiential, more embodied, and more joyful. So the title of the workshop, Engage with Drama, Teach with Joy. I'm just going to ask, a lot of you might be wondering why drama? There's so many other pedagogical tools out there. And I think your whole workshop, your webinar series is going to also introduce you to so many other tools like storytelling or project-based learning. But I'll just tell you why we feel drama is this one crucial tool. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this famous, I think, Chinese proverb. And I know the loose translation is, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I will understand. The focus is on involvement, is on experience, is on embodiment. I don't know how many of you know, but drama comes from the Greek word, which is dran, and it means to do, And that's why drama-based methods focus on the doing. And the doing leads to better understanding of concepts. And once they're understood, automatically there's better retention. So drama-based learning is a little different from a drama classroom. It is really a whole body, a whole mind, and experiential learning method. And it engages the learner completely. These are methods that are integrated with the school's pedagogy and the school's learning and teaching culture. And they provide the benefits of a drama class, but then they also are a means to teach content, whether you're talking about your history classes, your geography classes, your language classes, sciences, math. Here are tools that you can use to teach those better. And then, of course, the values of drama, we're talking about communication skills and confidence building and creativity. Those happen anyway because they are drama-based methods. Today, we are going to really go with our philosophy of drama means to do, and we're actually going to do something. So even though there are many of us, and this may not be as interactive for than a lot of our other workshops, we're going to try to share some tools with you, and please engage with them, even though we can't see you. Please do try them out, because in the trying, you'll see the benefits of it. Yeah. So I'm going to hand it over to Kriti now, who's going to take you through our first exercise for today. Over to you, Kriti.
Thanks, Tas. And a very, very warm welcome to everybody. A very good morning as well. So as the name said that yes, please do try these. So I'm going to hope that you're doing this with me as I'm going along. But I'm also going to invite Tasneem and Shri to do this along with me. Okay. We're going to start with holding up our hand like a fist. Okay. And I will be asking you some questions that require a yes and no response. So if your answer is yes to a question, you're going to put up a finger. All right. And if your answer is no, you don't lift a finger up. Okay. If you manage to get all 5 fingers here, Tasneem and shares with me, you get to high five me. Okay. All right. So it's like a virtual high five. So I'm going to begin. We are holding our fist up, and the first question for everyone, not just for Tasneem and Shri, is: do you like samosas? Of course. Who doesn't like samosas, isn't it? Tasneem doesn't. Well, I see that you're being very health conscious there. That's a good thing, Tas. Okay, and the next question is: did you eat a vegetable yesterday? I didn't. Okay, so my finger doesn't go up, but I do see Shri's went up and Tasneem's also. Okay, do you live in the same place as you were born? Nope, none of us. Okay, great. So I know a little bit of you two also, which I didn't know before. Okay, so my next question to you is: did you do some exercise today in the morning when you woke up? Wow, Tasneem, you're a very healthy person. I do see that. Okay, next one, which we are all struggling with these days, and I know for sure that I think many fingers will go up. Did you do jhadu pocha today or yesterday maybe, or in this week? Of course, isn't it? All right, and my next and last question is: have you had a day where you didn't look at a screen this week? I have been looking at the screen for the whole week, all 7 days, no break from it. Well, and I see that my colleagues agree to this as well, and I feel that, yeah, okay, we are in the same boat. We've not had the chance to, take a break from the screen. Thank you so much, Shri and Tas, for joining me for this one. And I see that Shri and Tas actually got 3 fingers up. So I'm going to ask Shri and Tas to give each other a virtual high five. Thank you, Tasneem, and thank you, Shri. So that was
I think Kriti has frozen.
Yeah.
Okay, let me talk about it then in that case. So that is a very simple exercise. It's called what we call 5 fingers. And in 5 fingers, we start to build on the individual identity of our learners. It's a great check-in. Like you saw we were trying, Kriti, her questions were a check-in for how we're doing this particular morning. And it works, of course, as a great icebreaker as well. We can find out a little more about people. So actually, if I was a teacher in class and I was playing this exercise with my learners, I would go on gallery view so that I could see everybody and ask questions that I would like to know about my learners, right? And it's easy to also adapt this to maybe your content, because if you are teaching a particular theme that week, it could be animals, it could be health and hygiene, it could be anything. You can also ask your questions specifically on that. And it also works as a great reflection activity, because you can also check whether your learners have actually taken in what happened in class today in a really fun and exciting way. So we have seen this exercise really work beautifully with learners, with teachers, in all the work you have done. And it's a really, really simple one that works beautifully online. Is Kriti back? Kriti, are you back? Do you want to take over?
Did you start with anything?
Yeah, I just spoke about why we do the 5 fingers exercise and the value of it.
Okay, I'm just going to request the host to put me back on spotlight. Sorry, my internet just fluctuated, everyone. This is the time that we are living in where technology controls us and we have no control over these things. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the host to spotlight me.
One finger, one after the other as the questions are asked. So if you answer yes, you put up a finger. If no, then you do not put up any finger.
Balani sir? Balani sir?
Okay, thank you. There I am. Okay. So, Tasneem, have you finished with the explanation, or should I? Okay.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Okay, thank you, Tas, for jumping in. All right. So, in Drama for Learning space, we have many such exercises that build empathy between peers while giving the teacher a window to even gauge the level of engagement with the topic. Right? So you can adapt the 5 fingers to anything that you're doing in your class to just gauge whether they are able to understand and retain the content that you're teaching them. So when talking about building empathy, one has the scaffold of the peers, so one doesn't feel like they are answering something and being put on spot. For example, when I did not put on my finger up when I didn't eat vegetable, and I saw maybe a friend of mine also not put their finger up, I felt okay. I didn't feel like I was put on, spotlight for being unhealthy or anything, right? And at the same time, when I saw that, both my friends didn't get time, break from screen, I kind of felt that, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not going through this alone. My friends are going through the same thing, right? So if we did this in class on gallery view, learner could start to identify their peers, and perhaps someone is embarrassed to say that they didn't read a novel or they didn't exercise. But this exercise allows that individual to see that few other people or few other friends also said no by not putting their finger up, right? So with this simple exercise, we set up connection with our learners. You have your hands up, and so do I. And that format is much like, this is the format that many of our exercises we have adapted in the online space. So you can feel like you are doing something with them in the physical space, actually. So the barrier of virtual space and physical space kind of disappears a little bit, right? So you're connecting with your learners on screen, you're present in the moment with them in your online classroom. Here we use a strong visual of your hand on the screen. But many of our exercises and our work help young learners to use their entire body, right? So it's a whole-bodied experience. The basis of this work goes from the idea that our entire body is capable of thought, of creativity and imagination, and not just our brains. So that the idea was very well articulated by someone named Sir Ken Robinson. I'm going to just request you to put that in the chat box for all of you, so you can later on, learn a little bit about this man who is a genius, who actually, very unfortunately, recently passed away. But education is turning us into brain-only thinkers sitting in front of the screen. Technology-based education, more so than before, turns us quite literally into talking heads, right? For both teachers and for learners. So we must not forget how to still think and work from our bodies, not just from our brains. And on that note, I am just going to pass it back to Tasneem to take over from here and talk about a few more things with you all.
Sure. Kriti brought up talking heads, and that's kind of very apparent right now. I know this is a webinar, and so you all are going to see us talking a lot, but very often, I mean, of course, when you work with your learners and we work with our groups of participants, there's a lot more interactivity. So it's not really us talking so much. But just to bring up the topic of being a talking head, a lot of drama-based learning removes the alienation of the teacher being a talking head, because it allows for connection, it allows for sharing. Yes, and the nature of this work grants the teacher the capability to create what we call in drama the safe space. And it becomes a lot more important right now while we're teaching online, especially because one of the beautiful things is that when we're in a classroom, there's a physical classroom, and the physical classroom also provides a physical safe space for the learners. There's a sense of connection because of physical bodies in the room. But right now, while we're teaching online, the teacher is the one holding the space. The teacher is almost taking the form of the physical classroom and holding the space for the learners. And it really becomes imperative in that case to really be, again, what we call in drama, the container. Yes, to keep the class safe, to keep the class protected, and to engage in conversation there. While running an exercise like this one, like you saw, a teacher has the ability to also look for maybe moments of discomfort. Yes, if one of us were unsure of putting our fingers down, or maybe immediately put our finger up, the teacher has a sense to be able to gauge that and maybe pick up a conversation later on with the learner if something is amiss. A lot is amiss right now. We all know our learners are going through lots of ups and downs. And I think one of our biggest jobs as an educator does become to be creating that space for the learners where they are comfortable to share. Yes, and I mean, I know when we were talking about this webinar and discussing it, Kriti reminded us that, when we work in a drama-based classroom, when we are teaching drama-based activities, we have something called peripheral vision that we use a lot, even as actors. And teachers naturally have peripheral vision, right? A teacher knows what's happening behind her and can say, hey, 1 second, who's talking? And the learner sometimes goes, hey, how do you know? But we know, we just always know as a teacher that something's happening in the classroom. We've got this 360-degree vision, right? And now we're thinking of how do we translate that to the online medium? And Kriti came up with a nice one. She called it a scanning vision. Can we just scan? And can we just tell what our learners are going through? There was a beautiful song I knew as a kid. I can't remember the tune or anything, but I know that the lines were, listen with your eyes and hear everything you see. And I think those are the superpowers we have to develop as teachers now, to be able to listen with our eyes and hear everything we see. Yeah. So tools from drama help really build these connections, which is why we advocate it so much. And that is really the power of drama that we focus on. Yes, I'm not going to talk any further. I'm going to let you now engage with the next exercise. So Kriti, please take over.
Sure. Thank you, Tas. That was beautiful and beautifully put, actually. So the next activity that we are going to demonstrate for you all, because I know in this one we won't be able to see you, but please, if you can try along, that would be great. It's called What Are You Doing? And we've adapted it for the online medium, for the virtual space. So in this activity, I'm going to start doing an action, any action. And the next person, so I'm going to call out the name of a person, and that person is going to ask me, what are you doing? I have to not say what I'm actually doing, but say something else, Okay, this may sound a little confusing to you right now, but when we do it in front of you, it will become clear. All right, so I'm going to ask Shri and Tas to unmute themselves and jump on this one. And I'm going to begin. All right, and Shri Vidya.
What are you doing?
I am playing a piano. And so Shri Vidya starts playing the piano, what I have suggested. And sorry, Shri, I started talking in between while you were doing, but yes, you can now take it to the next person while you're doing the action.
Tasneem.
What are you doing?
I am vacuuming the floor.
Let me get up for this one then. Kriti!
What are you doing?
I'm dancing.
Okay. Shri Vidya.
What are you doing?
I am reading a book.
Tasneem.
What are you doing?
I am playing hopscotch.
Oh.
Lovely. Thank you, Tasneem. You were such a sport for playing hopscotch. Okay,
Amazing.
And all three of us are going to just say whoosh to end this round. I hope you got an idea. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, and whoosh.
Whoosh.
All right. So this was an activity which we play with our learners on the virtual screen. And it works like magic. It's so much fun. The kids enjoy this one. Some of the skills that we cover in this is focus and language learning, because they are using vocabulary to think and say something which they're not doing. So their brain is like really working on how to be sharp, how to be spontaneous, how to think of things on spot. They're also working on their creative thinking abilities, because this is quite a thing, like it's a juxtapose between what you're actually doing and you have to say something else. But the fun part of this game is that it is very versatile and it is very adaptable. So I have done some the same activity to cover the topic of community helpers with my learners. So if someone's actually putting the stethoscope in their ear and checking it and ask what are you doing, but they say something else. They say I am sweeping the floor, and then someone starts sweeping the floor and they say what are you doing? I am firefighting. So we completely went through the whole community helper bit. I've also done this activity for animals in their shelters, and actually anything under the sun. This is very adaptable, as I said before. The beautiful part about this activity is also that how it blends the virtual space and the physical space. Whenever we do this, we completely forget that we are doing it in front of a screen. And we kind of get the same feeling that we used to get when we used to be in the circle in the class and we used to do this. I'm going to hand over to Shri to share a little bit about her experience with this activity with her middle school learners.
Thanks for that, Kriti. Yeah, so actually, Kriti, you covered a bit of what I wanted to say about how it is easily adaptable. So for middle and high school students, I found that this activity can be also used to learn or recap different concepts and subject areas. For example, let's take something simple like the water cycle, okay? So person A could maybe start off with the first action of freezing. So water is freezing, water is cold. And when asked by person B, they could say that they're melting. And subsequently, when asked by person C, person B could say they are evaporating. And so we start off with the water cycle. Similarly, this can be done for chemical reactions in chemistry, or even in literature when trying to understand character development, character motives, or even plot development. So these are the different ways in which this activity can be made adaptable for middle and high school students as well. I'm going to now pass it on to Tasneem again?
No, I think Shri, the focus really here is on the word adaptation. I want to highlight again once more that these are drama tools that drama teachers use in the drama classroom to play drama-based games. These are all tools that are also equally adaptable to your content, to your curriculum, whatever teacher you are. When we engage with educators in schools for longer periods of time, because our longest program really is 2 years, where we empower a complete school with drama-based learning, so much so that they can then use this as a part of their pedagogy for the future. And when we use these kind of methods for a longer period of time, we just see how the adaptability becomes just part of teaching culture in the school. We've had maths teachers have fun with this kind of learning. I've even had an art teacher adapt one of the tools that you will see now into his art class to make, because he spoke about how people saw art as just something they do at a desk, and they needed to get up and do things before they actually engaged with their hands. And these tools helped an art teacher as well. So these tools are extremely adaptable. We have actually handpicked the tools that are adaptable to drama-based learning to share with our teachers today and in all our workshops. Kriti. Oh yes, no, we don't have Kriti anymore. We've got a Professor Daisy. Should we meet her?
Yeah, I think we should.
Hello, everyone.
Professor Daisy. Hello, Professor
Hi.
Daisy.
Hello, I'm so glad that you invited me today here for this webinar. I am very honored to meet you all. I'm Professor Daisy, and I'm an environmentalist who loves being in nature. Yeah, ever since I was born as a kid, I just loved being in nature. My job actually involves finding ways to preserve the environment and creating awareness about our diversity. Now, I would like to invite my lovely dear friends Tasneem and Srividya to help me show you something interesting that I have carried with me here today, specially for you. It's called my magic backpack, which I take with me every time I go out on any excursion. Okay, so I am going to just grab my backpack. 1 second. There it is. It's really heavy. Okay, and I'm just going to keep it here next to me. All right. So this backpack, like I told you, I carry every time, has many interesting things in it that I have collected over the years. And I'm delighted today to share these interesting contents out of my bag. Are you ready? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. So let me take out the first important thing that we must have when we are out in the nature. It's my pair of tree. Can you guess what it is?
It's binoculars, isn't it?
That's right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over my binoculars to both of you to just try and see from it, okay? There you go. Please take it. Lovely. And have a look around. Okay. Thus, I'm going to ask you, what do you see?
I see this really great big bird.
Yeah? What
Never
color
seen
is
it
it?
before. It's black, but it's white at the bottom.
Okay. I wonder what species of bird you've seen. But that's interesting. Thank you so much. And I'm going to ask Shri also to share what she's looking. She's really fascinated by something and she can't take her eyes off. Shri, could you tell us what you're looking at?
Yeah, I am looking at a pied kingfisher upon that tree over there. It's black and white in color. It looks gorgeous.
Oh, you spotted a kingfisher. Aren't they just beautiful? Lovely. I'm so happy and delighted that you could watch something so beautiful. Now, I'm going to request you to please hand over my binoculars back because I'm going to need them, right? Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm going to keep that back. I am going to take out something else as well for you. Let me have a look. Oh my God, you've been hiding all this while here, and I have been looking for this little one all over the place. This is my favorite, and I call him Chintu because he's really tiny. Yeah, and I'm going to hand over Chintu to both of you, and let me see if you can guess what this is. Please take it on your finger. It's really tiny, loves to crawl. These are some hints that I'm dropping, and it's in green color. Now you should be able to guess.
Is it an
It's a worm.
You're very close. It's a caterpillar. Yes. And this caterpillar is a special one, you know. And it's the last one. He's my friend, you know. Sometimes when I go in the nature, I'm all by myself. He's the one I talk to most of the time. Yeah?
I don't like caterpillars.
You don't like caterpillars?
And crawly on my finger. It's tickling me.
Oh, it's not going to harm you, but you can give it to me back, Thus.
Okay, Kriti, it is coming down my arm. I need to give it to you as well.
Sure. There you go. Thank you so much for being so gentle with Chintu. And you know what? When Chintu was mating, he actually laid some eggs. And those eggs actually turned into a beautiful red monarch butterfly. So I'm going to pull out a few red monarch butterflies for you and give that to you. And take it from here, let it flutter in your room and watch this beauty. I'm going to tell you a little bit about red monarch butterflies. You know, they're a marvelous migratory phenomenon. They travel from 1,200 to 2,800 miles or even more from the United States and Canada to central Mexican forests. And the monarch butterfly is known by scientists as Danos plexippus, which in Greek literally means sleepy transformation, which means that they have the ability to hibernate and metamorphosize. Isn't that fascinating? Right? That one is for both of you. You can keep those red monarch butterflies with you. There's one last thing that I want to share with you all. It's precious and it's very, very dear to me. Okay, so I'm going to pick it up first because it's really heavy. So I'm going to get up and try and take it out. It's 3 feet tall, okay? It's really big. So I'm going to try and give this one to you. Be very, very careful. Yes, and gently keep it next to you in your room. This is the Great Indian Bustard, or the Indian bustard, which is found in the Indian subcontinent. The Great Indian bustard is about 3 feet long, as I told you, and has a long neck and some quite long legs as well. Somewhat looks like an ostrich, you know. The bird is amongst the heaviest birds while flying, in the flying birds. Yeah, very tall, very heavy, but also flies. Yeah, this species, unfortunately, is critically endangered by hunting and loss of habitat, and they are being protected under the Wildlife Protection Act of the 1972 of India. So that is why it is very special to me, because I don't know if I will ever see these beautiful species again. So I've tried to save one for myself. Okay, so I'm going to really ask you both to hand that back to me. Be very careful. Yes, I know it's really heavy, Tasneem, but you're being very gentle. Thank you, Shri. Thank you so much. I'm going to put that one in my bag again. Thank you so much for coming out today and meeting my friends here. Okay, it's time actually for me to go now to Iceland to research on the phenomenon of the Northern Lights. Okay, I'm going to see you all next time maybe. Till then, bye everybody.
Thank you, Professor Daisy. That was really fun. And you really have a lot of facts to share with us. Very, very interesting. So thank you, Professor Daisy. Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed that little interaction with Professor Daisy. So just to share what that actually was, that is something that we call teacher in role. I know a lot of us are very familiar with the words role play. This is a kind of role play, but it's more specifically called teacher in role. Yes. And teacher in role works beautifully because it just leads to this beautiful immersive learning. Like you saw, Kriti shared with us lots of facts, but we all listen because they didn't come from Kriti, they came from Professor Daisy. And because it came from Professor Daisy, because it was so engaging, we remember them. Yes, I don't think I'm going to forget the great Indian bustard now. Yes, I'm going to possibly go back and look it up to see what it actually is, because I didn't know what it was before this one. Yes, so the beautiful thing about this activity is that it really engages you in different ways, and lots of facts can be just shared. I know a lot of our learning here is in India, especially, is fact knowledge based learning, and it does get tedious sometimes because we have so many facts to remember, right? And this just makes it lighter. It also engages learners with a sense of curiosity, because then they really do want to go out there and find out more. Yes. So this is a teacher and role activity. Today, Kriti, who played the part of Professor, sorry, I'm just sorry, I'm looking for my PowerPoint at the same time. So Kriti, who today played the part of Professor Daisy, she played the part by just maybe changing her jacket, tying her hair, a few odd things here. But sometimes teachers really take on the part very seriously, put on a complete costume to engage their learners. And because we do so much of this work, especially with kids, we thought we'd just share some of this with you. Shivita, can you please help me with the PowerPoint actually?
I'm unable to screen share. Sir, can you please give me access to screen share? If you can make me co-host, please. Mr. Balani?
Okay, otherwise.
Balani, sir.
Is it possible? Otherwise, I will just do it.
Priya, ma'am.
Okay,
Priya,
don't worry.
Balani, sir.
Let me try.
Don't worry.
Let me
yes, you are a co-host now. Please
proceed. Okay. I am still not able to share. It says host, disable participant screen sharing.
Let me just share. Yeah, tell me if you can see the screen. Is this visible?
Not yet, Tasneem.
Yes, it's visible.
It is visible. It is visible.
Okay.
We can see, ma'am. We can see.
Perfect. So, here you go. So this is a couple of images that we have of our facilitators working with teacher in role. Like you can see, they've got a costume on, and I promise you, it's nothing fancy. We're all in the middle of coronavirus and lockdown, so we're just pulling things out of our cupboards and houses and improvising to put on some sort of a crazy costume. Yeah. Here you go. We've got agents, and they've just got their coats on and some glasses on. Yes, but it really makes you feel like, these are not my teachers. These are really special agents. Yes. Here's another one. Sometimes we work with animals as well, and we try to put on some animal costumes. And Mr. Questioner is someone who's interviewing Horton. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Horton Hears a Who by Dr. Seuss. And this was a workshop that we were working on with a group of learners with the Dr. Seuss books. And of course, exploring the environment, and the kids were then working with trying to find solutions. And Kriti, who absolutely loves teacher in role and finds a new character to play every time. This is her Miss Knows It All. Clearly knows it all. And she uses Miss Knows It All in several different workshops, because Miss Knows It All just knows everything and comes and gives you new facts each time. Yes. So these are a couple of our images from our teacher in role work. You can see how beautifully it works. I mean, we've used this work in the classroom all the time, but we just found that on screen, especially, it just takes new form, because in any case, on screen, you just see the teacher, and here you see a teacher in character. So it really does work well. a lot of this work actually, I'm just going to pause there, stop share. Okay, so a lot of this work actually then is a starting point for investigation. And again, when we say investigation, our focus is on getting the learners to then further investigate and find solutions for themselves, and to also engage in learning for themselves. Yes, so we're series of collaborative exercises that generally follow a teacher enroll activity, and these are exercises that are given to groups of kids. When we work on Zoom, we use the breakout room a lot, but I do know that many schools don't use Zoom. But we give it to groups of learners, groups of participants, to then go off and work in their own time, but work collaboratively. Remember, Ms. Jayashree also focused on the word collaboration, and drama-based work really does focus on collaboration. It is about peer learning. It is about learning to coming together from different places. And so a lot of this work, we just let the learners take it outside the classroom, create pieces of performance or create submissions, and then come back to the classroom to present it. And lots of people tell us that, hey, but our kids just like put off the screen when we're talking, or oh God, don't even tell us to leave them in a breakout room. They'll be talking about something else, and we won't have a handle on that. But the truth of the matter is that when they're given a very specific task to do, and a task which they are excited about and charged up about, then trust me, they only talk about this. We've gone into breakout rooms with 13 and 16-year-olds to realize that they're focused on the activity. They're not talking about the IB last night. Right? It's been really wonderful. And I will share my screen again, maybe to show you some of the work that we have done with teachers and with, just give me a second, and with students on collaborative learning. So I'll just show you that.
Could we please request everyone to just mute their mics though, because there's a lot of disturbance. Thank you so much.
Can you see?
Yes, Tasneem.
Super. So this is an activity in collaborative learning. Of course, this is a group of teachers who are working, because we do engage with lots of teachers in very immersive workshops. So this is a group of teachers who are now investigating the story further, but they're investigating the story also in roles. So you can see someone's got little ears on and props up and things. Here's another one where we're using a lot of costume and creating the different characters using costume. And this is some of our work with kids, because a lot of the work that we also do focuses on making the learning visible. A lot of drama-based work, it happens in the classroom, right? We play games, we play activities, we engage in presentation work, but very often it does only stay in the classroom. So a lot of the focus of our work has also been, how do we make this learning visible? How do we show the school, the management, the parents, that they are actually learning in a drama-based class, and then it's not just fun and games. So a lot of our work is making the learning visible. This, of course, is an art activity where they have created characters based on a whole investigation. Yes. So that's where we are with that presentation. Oh, sorry, there's one more. Where we use objects. So sometimes, again, it's about making learning visible, but it need not be, it is what we call object theater, and creating characters using objects, right? So that's what we have. Here you go, some more object theater work with children. Yes, so just stop my screen share. Wait, so this is what we call collaborative learning, and a lot of people right now are talking about blended learning. And blended learning is, okay, we're here right now, we're stuck in the middle of this pandemic, we're teaching online, but maybe the physical classroom is not so far away. Can I request everyone to just put their mics off? Thank you. So I'll just repeat what I was saying. We are in the middle of a bit of a flux. We are teaching online. And we don't know when we will see our learners in the physical classroom again. And even when we do start seeing them in the physical classroom, because I do know a lot of states are now beginning to open up to the idea of schools coming back to normal, maybe we'll have to go back and forth for a bit. And so the word blended learning has really become very important right now. What we realize is that drama-based learning allows us to move easily between the two. So work that happens in the virtual classroom can easily be taken back into the physical classroom without having the learners feel like, oh, something changed there, right? If the character from the virtual classroom suddenly presented themselves in a real classroom, there's directly a connection, right? Or something that you engaged with in terms of a prop suddenly showed up there. There's an instant connect and the kids can pick up exactly from where you left. So we have been doing a lot of work and research in our longer programs on how blended learning can be easily done using drama-based methods. I've spoken for too long. I will shut up and I will request Shri to add in something more. Shri works a lot more with middles and senior school. So I'm going to see if Shri wants to add to what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that, Tasneem. So what Tasneem was talking about was how it engages learners in the process of problem solving and kind of ensuring collaborative learning in the process as well. Likewise, in the middle and high school space, what I've seen is that when we take this teacher in role to the next level in what we call process drama, we create an immersive imagined space where both learners and facilitators both take on roles in order to problem solve. So for example, if you remember one of the images that Tasneem had shared with you with Professor Flora and Fauna. So that was a session that we did, a process drama session that we did to explore different ways to be more responsible for our environment. So my co-facilitator and I became Professors Flora and Fauna, and and our young participants were planeteers, and we took them on an explorative investigation where our young planeteers helped find real life solutions to the environmental problems that exist today in order to help us and of course Captain Planet to create Earth 2.0. This way we found that they were extremely engaged. They used stuff that they had around them to create these real life solutions. And it was amazing to see them use their hands and use objects and build stuff. So, you know, in that way, they were thinking about, while they were in an imagined space, they were also thinking about real life and what they can do in order to help save the planet. So yeah, I'm now going to pass it on to.
Yes, so I just like to complete what, I just want to add into what Srividya is saying. Like you can see, a lot of this is based on what we know as the traditional role play, but it's really taking the idea of role play to the next level and exploring different forms of role play, different ways of doing role play, so that it's not just a character talking to another character and an improvisation, but it actually deepens further to encourage learning. Yes, I just wanted to point that out. I'll let Kriti take over.
Thank you, Tasan. Thank you, Shri. And while you both were talking, I actually made a few more connections that I would love to talk about. When Tasneem pointed us at peripheral vision, and when she talked about students not taking their screens off and actually engaging with us. Now, in my experience of teaching online, I've seen that it's not possible to manage students remotely in the same way as, you know, we teachers used to manage them in person, right? Almost all of the tools that we used to have to manage our classroom kind of disappear in the virtual space, isn't it? Just simple things like, you know, mics being on, right? It's very difficult to maintain that technical hygiene all the time, which is why the most effective forms of instruction is that, you know, you focus less on instructions and instead use your time to help your learners to collaborate with their peers, to continue to socialize in a way, you know, which is socially distant, but still engaging with their friends, because then they are learning by ideating, discussing, debating, all of that, problem solving together. And the other thing is also combining the visual elements with the presentations. So when you saw Tasneem share screen, you saw that a lot of visual elements came in front, from putting things on as a teacher in role, or even using things like a flashcard. That kind of helps, visual aids help learners to engage with the screen, engage with you visually. So we are going to be less verbose when we are teaching students online, but we indulge more in visual and audio cues, and work with collaboration to keep their attention and their engagement. Some of this work also actually touches upon the social emotional learning, or the SEL space. Um, I think you must be familiar that today in these times, social emotional learning has become very, very important tool, right? So a lot of the work that we have designed, a lot of the exercises also focus and touch upon the elements or the aspects of social emotional learning, which is self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship building, and being able to make decisions in a safe and supportive environment. For this transition period, we've been working on several, ways where teachers could engage where teachers have engaged with us over a long period of time using these tools to, take the drama for learning into their classroom, to build on the socio-emotional learning with their learners. And what we've seen is that these tools has not just helped the teachers with their learners, but they have also helped the teachers themselves. And they have come back saying that, it has really worked for our well-being, because teachers are the new firefighters in today's day and age, and they are putting their heart and soul in these things. And it's not easy. It is not easy. So I don't want to take that away from us teachers. We are actually, doing a lot of work. And so we need to also work a little bit on our well-being. And so we worked with teachers to help them come up with some coping mechanisms up their sleeve. And if as teachers, we can take care of ourselves, we are better equipped to take care of our learners as well. So I'm going to do a little bit of an exercise, a small exercise to demonstrate this with you all. I'm going to invite everybody to just take a minute, a few moments actually, to close their eyes first. And with me, I'm going to invite Tasneem and Shri to do that. To close your eyes and think about just before the workshop, how you were feeling. What was going on in your mind, in your body? And once you have clarity on what you were feeling, I'm going to ask you to visualize an object that could convey that feeling. I'm going to give you some examples. For example, you're feeling light as a feather and very excited before the webinar. So maybe a feather that's fluttering in the air could be an object that conveys that feeling. Or you've been feeling really heavy with the kind of work you've been doing at home, juggling the household chores, getting up in the morning, taking care of your children, all of that. So maybe you feel very heavy as a rock. And I'm not going to give you too many examples because I want you to figure out this for yourself. And once you have that visual of the object that conveys your feeling, I'm going to ask you to open your eyes, grab a piece of paper, some colors and crayons, and just doodle away this feeling. Scribble it on the screen, on the sheet. And for those of you who are watching this, please do this activity for yourself as well. Take a piece of paper and draw this feeling out. And once you have finished with your drawing, I know I can't see your drawings, the ones who are whose videos are off. I'm going to invite you all to use something wonderful in the Zoom platform, which I absolutely love. Is called the chat box, where we can still have the dialogue and the conversation. So if you've got an object, you've drawn it on the paper, if you can put it in the chat box, what it is, and a small line that I have drawn this because I was feeling this. If you can put it down like that, that would be great. And I'm going to give a few minutes to Thas and Shri to finish with their drawings, and then I'm going to ask them to share their drawings with us. I have to also say that in this activity, we are not judging anyone for what they're feeling. So, just feel free to share this with us. We are all actually in the same boat, and we will understand what you're going through. So I'm going to ask Tasneem to first share share her drawing with us. Tasneem, if you're done, if you can put your drawing up and show it to us and share a few lines.
Sure. I just thought we'll give everyone a couple of minutes to finish theirs in case they haven't. Is that okay, Kriti?
Absolutely, yes. And in fact, if you all have finished, you can use the reactions button to show a thumbs up. So that also gives us some understanding.
Sure.
Lubna says, how will the session be taken online? So when we do this online with the learners, we just ask them to actually draw in real time. And then we ask them to show the pictures. And then the teacher can, from a bowl where she has chips of names written on it, she can pick a few and open them and read out the names. And those few people share their drawings. Because, of course, we understand that in a class of 30, 32, it's practically not possible to give everyone chance for every activity, but with certain people. So that way, everyone gets the chance throughout the day. Yeah. So thus, I think we can continue. And as people feel comfortable, they can start sharing what they have drawn, which objects they have drawn. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is what I have. It's a glass half filled with water. And the reason I draw this is because I think at the end of any session or a webinar or a workshop or anything I do, we start with, okay, how do we do this? Let's do this, let's do that. And then after it's done, you feel like, oh my God, there's still so much more to learn and so much more to do, especially after also listening to all the speakers this morning, like Dr. Jayashree talking about the work. You just feel so inspired that, there's a long way to go and it's not up there yet. We're just here. So yeah, there's a deep realization that we have a long way to go.
Yes, and our cup is always half full, which is actually a good place to be because you are leaving some room for more learning and more exploration. So thank you so much, Tasneem, for sharing your drawing. And I'm going to ask Shri to now share her drawing with us.
So, mine is not as profound as Tasneem's.
Don't worry.
This is a tangled ball of wool. And the reason I drew this is because you specifically asked me to think about how I was feeling before the webinar, before getting onto the space. And I was actually juggling a lot of things. I was making breakfast, having breakfast. I was trying to get the networking. So there was a lot happening. So hence the tangled ball of wool. But I'm hoping that by the end of the webinar, it will become a nicely wound ball of wool that is starting to make connections. So yeah.
Thank you, Shri. And you don't have to be sorry at all for your drawing or for the meaning that you're sharing, because I'm actually, I kind of resonate with that. I'm quite messed up right now myself from juggling this and juggling that. And I feel like, a tangled ball of wool myself. And every now and then I have to take out some time in the day to untangle myself and nicely wound myself back again into a good looking ball of wool. I do see that someone has shared something that they have drawn, and that is Amatullah Motiwala. Thank you, first of all, for sharing in the chat box. And she writes, I have drawn a tree with spread out branches because every morning I wake up to learning so much more and new and diversified. That's a lovely visual, and thank you for putting it in the chat box and sharing with us, Amatullah. So that was one activity which basically we call draw your feeling out, or today I feel. It's kind of a check-in. And I see that my chat box is popping up with some new responses, which I'm very excited to read now, and I'm going to pick a few more. So Supriya says, I have drawn a TV because I want to have some free time. Yes, some entertainment. I think we're all longing for it and trying to scramble some time and space in our days to log on to a Netflix or watch TV. I totally relate with you, Supriya. It's been a whole week when I have not seen even a single episode of my favorite series. So yes, a TV for me as well, actually. Okay, so I'm going to just wait a few more seconds to just see if anything new pops into the chat box before I move ahead. And, oh, there it goes, right on cue. Now it's suddenly popping up. Yay, this is a good feeling. Even if I can't see you, I can see you because you are here in chat box with me, talking to me. Thank you so much. This just doesn't feel like a one-way thing. Now it definitely feels like a two-way thing, and we've broken the barrier of virtual learning somehow. Okay, so someone's written, I've drawn a hot air balloon in an open area. Soaring in the open area, that's what you feel like doing because we are all inside the house. Yes, I totally feel you, Smita. And Natasha writes, I have drawn a blooming flower. These months have been those of reflection and growth, lots of introspection and learning. So I feel I am blooming and growing as an individual. That's beautiful. And I'm so happy, Natasha, that you feel like and you've gone through a whole phase of reflection and growth. And now that you're blooming, spread your fragrance and spread the learning that you have gained. Yes. Shambhavi says, I have drawn a tree with grass. They are my life. I spend free time with the plant and the tree with the grass. So you're a nature lover. Thank you so much, Shambhavi. My heart feels so full that I had to actually sigh. Thank you so much. That's the beauty of some exercises like these. And certainly the ones, that touch upon the socio-emotional aspect. And this was one example to share with you where we are building on self-awareness. It was a quick activity where you could actually have an outside eye and look at yourself and observe certain things about yourself. Yeah. So we're building on self-awareness and listening to our body and translating that into an object. It's basically kind of using some form of metaphors for our feelings, right? Self-awareness is the solid foundation that all the other SEL work rests on. We did a quick example for you right now, getting to articulate and visualize your inner self. Once a teacher is able to, I feel that once a teacher is able to, articulate these for herself, she can do much better in the online space when she is with her learners. So if I am feeling like a tangled ball of wool and I have that awareness, I will quickly also start working on how to untangle myself so that I am better prepared and present for my learners, isn't it? If I don't have that awareness, I will go unaware of how I am with my learners, and that will translate into the space, whether it is physical or it is virtual. So the NAERF's work on self-awareness gives both teachers and learners an outlet, which is extremely important. And Drama for Learning in the online space gives you these tools and allows the teachers to learn to build towards positive self-image and peer environments for learning. And also when Shri and Tash showed their images, it's a good example of how you make learning visible. We just did something that was our work in the class and we could put it up. So we were actually, taking the whole, what we have in the bulletin board in our classrooms, we could actually do that here. And if you ask everyone to hold up their sheets, you can quickly take a snapshot and you have your virtual bulletin board ready with you also. Yes. So with that, I am going to, there was one last one which I'm very curious to read out, and I'm going to read that one out and then hand it over to Tasneem. This one says, I've drawn a sun which is shining as I'm learning and growing. Wow, I can actually feel the warmth of that sun on me as well. Thank you so much, Lekha, for sharing that. And I'm going to pass it on to Tasneem for the next segment.
Yeah, really, thank you all for participating. This work only starts making sense when there's communication two-way. So thank you. This is really the last part and my last little spiel of this webinar. And I'm just really going to summarize everything that we've actually said. So like you have seen, drama-based methods naturally encourage embodied learning. And there is evidence to show extremely high levels of retention in a drama environment. And that's only because the engagement levels are so high and there is so much active on your feet learning experiences in every class. Honestly, we've had teachers who've worked with us for a period of time and they try to incorporate a drama-based exercise in every class because they say, ma'am, if we don't have one, the kids say, what's wrong with your class today? And so now we're forced to ensure that there's drama-based learning in every class. So we were delighted and we took that as a compliment. And we're really happy that the kids also want this because they know that they're doing a lot more and learning a lot more during the drama-based classes. And mind you, when I say drama-based classes, I don't mean it's a separate class. It's really a class that is part of the timetable. It is still the math class, or the science class, or the Hindi class, or the EVS class. It's not a separate drama class. Our whole this whole change for us has been to ensure that drama is just incorporated into every class and every school where learning happens. So moving on, most of us here agree that there is absolutely no doubt on the role that drama plays in a child's life. We all know about 21st century learning skills that the speakers also spoke about this morning. You're talking about confidence, you're talking about communication skills, critical thinking skills, collaboration skills. But again, there are also many studies to show how drama-based methods develop capacities like Kriti spoke about, which is about empathy, SEL, social emotional skills, and higher order abstraction skills. We all, a lot of you might be very familiar with Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, and you will see how drama-based work actually beautifully just incorporates all those multiple intelligences, because drama is that one form that actually also integrates all the arts, right? When you talk about a musical ability, you talk about an art and kinesthetic ability, drama naturally incorporates all of that. So it's certainly not just the drama skills that we focus on, but just every other learning skill that kids need today in order to get a job out there, because God knows what jobs are going to be ready available for them when they go out into the working world. Kriti called upon Sir Ken Robinson in her when she was talking earlier, and he really is a thought leader, and a lot of our work has been truly inspired by Sir Ken Robinson. And again, to quote him, he says, creativity is as important now in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status. So very often when we're talking, we do say that when we go to an English medium school, our medium of communication is English. But now that if you have to go to creative medium school, then what should the medium of education be? And for us, really, the answer is drama-based education, because we really, truly believe that drama-based education has the means to provide that platform. I really want to end with saying thank you all for listening and participating in this webinar today. Thank you, Dr. Balani. Thank you, Ms. Mansoori, for inviting us. I have to also say thank you to Priyanka Babbar, who's actually a speaker for tomorrow, who invited us to this platform today. In fact, it's quite ironic. Priyanka was a drama was a homeroom teacher at NSS Hill Springs School, and she started working with us. And today she's actually one of our drama specialists and a beautiful storyteller. And she started her own initiative. So if any of you guys thought that this kind of work is only for a drama teacher, I promise you it is not. All of us are performers because we all sit there every day in front of 40 sets of eyes staring at us, and we have to perform and the pressure is on. So each one of us is actually a performer. So we never want to hear that, we're not drama teachers, how do we do this? Trust me, it just requires a little bit of training, and trust me that you really can. So thank you, Priyanka, for introducing us. And we were really, really happy to do this webinar for the Bombay Teachers Training College. Ms. Mansoori, I think that brings us to the end of our webinar, but we're very happy to take in a couple of questions if the audience has any.
Thank you so much, Tasneem, Kirti, and Shri Vidya ma'am, your team, excellent. We have some appreciation for y'all by the participants. I would just read out few lines, few words of appreciation by the participants. Gurpreet Kaur says, wow, very engaging session. We have Isha Bhavishkar, who says, this is very effective for students. Lata Bhandi says, thank you, Daisy ma'am, for awesome activities. Professor Daisy, you're a hit.
Always.
We have a couple of questions, ma'am. There is a question, can we use this technique for the teens?
May I ask for a clarification? When you say teens, what do you mean?
Teens, 17, 18, 19-year-old.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We have, in fact, maybe I'll Shri, I just want to say, sorry, we forgot. I had to end with that and I forgot. We do have a handout that you could. My internet's gone, is it? Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're back.
Okay. I said, I'm sorry, I forgot to end with this. In case any of you would like a handout with all the exercises that we shared with you today, I'm just going to put a link into the chat window and you can just download them and have the activities, because we do recognize that we shared a lot and sometimes it's difficult to remember all of it. So if you would like to download them, I'll just give you the link. Shri Vidya, over to you.
Yeah, so to the question about the 17, 18-year-old, the teenagers, it definitely works for them. Like I said earlier, if we look at the teacher enroll work that we did, Professor Daisy, we take it a level higher and actually bring them into an imagined space where they're also playing a role. We are as facilitators also playing a role. They get completely engaged. And we've done a lot of very abstract concepts through this. Like, for example, we had done one where we were actually exploring what it is to be human. What does it mean to be human? Yeah. Another one that we've done is looking at gender sensitization through this technique as well. So these are things that can be done. And it is very effective because it's very engaging for the learners.
Yeah, I'd agree with Shri. I think what works is also that you just take a theme that's more relevant to them, but the same exercises make sense. When we speak about collaborative exercises, we speak about process drama. I mean, we did a whole exercise around the whole idea of migration and what it is like to move from one place to another and suddenly have to find your roots all over again. And it was a beautiful empathy building activity, but we just did it through what we call hot seating, by putting you into somebody else's shoes to actually feel that. So in that sense, yes, very deep, very serious themes can also be explored through this method. The same exercises work, you just have to adapt it with the theme for the older learners.
I have a question, Tasneem ma'am. As you said that you can teach themes and you can teach concepts, I believe, because migration is also a concept. Concept teaching also can be done through. But what does a teacher need to do before she takes this initiative or she incorporates drama in her class? What is the pre-planning that she has to do for herself as well as for her students?
Beautiful. Yeah, I'll be honest with you out here. This stuff doesn't happen on the day of class. We do a lot of work before we get into a workshop, before we get into a classroom. All of this is pre-planning, and pre-planning, lesson planning, all plays a big, big role in the work that we do. Because maybe we start with saying we want to explore, and I'm going to take the example of migration. But then I, as a teacher, have to then research what aspect of migration I want to take into the classrooms. Where do I want my learners to reach? What is my eventual objective? And then I work backwards in trying to find the right activity that allows me to let them explore migration. And so a lot of this is pre-planning. Of course, when you start researching drama-based learning, you'll get lots of resources. There are lots of places out there to skill yourself using drama-based learning. And then you have your whole toolkit, right? And then from that toolkit, you pick and choose what you think is appropriate for this class or for this theme or for this age group. But yes, I will admit that a lot of this work is thinking about in advance, looking at your overall objectives, and then planning backward.
Thank you so much. So you mean to say that do you give some reading to the students before the class in order to make them understand better? Or do you teach them and then go on for such type of concepts or something? Could you just...
I think it both would work. There is no right answer. That's a beautiful thing as well, right? It really depends. This work really makes a teacher a design thinker, because they are then designing learning and allowing their learners to also design their own learning. And that is the beauty of this work. Yeah, we could start with giving some reading material before, because you want them to enter with that prior knowledge, or you want to excite them, like maybe like what Kriti did, was she excited us with some knowledge. Now she gives me something about the Great Indian Bustard, I'll happily read it, right? Because I want to know. She's inspired curiosity in me. So both work, and we've seen both work. We've tried both out. They both work, but it's really about designing it correctly.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have a few, not questions, but some feedback for y'all. It's like a good feedback, I mean to say. Dr. Meghrani Giri says that it's a good method of visualization. Then we have Meenal Mishra, who says it's very true that self-realization will help to find the attached emotions through drama-based learning.
Beautiful.
Then, ma'am, we're waiting for more questions.
Yes,
participants,
please.
do you all have? Yeah, there is one question: how to bring in the voice modulation and how do you practice it? Some tips to help us.
Sure. Yes. But the beautiful thing about voice modulation is that as actors, we use voice modulation, and that's what we also bring into the classroom. And I think using the voice is like any other instrument. It just requires lots and lots of practice and riyaz. But of course, there are many, many useful tips. Kriti, you're the star on this one. Do you want to take this question?
Sure. So I've worked with both teachers and learners to help in their voice, and we do it over a sustained period of time during our workshops. But one small tip that I would love to share you on this platform with all of you today is the basis of good voice comes from good breath practice. And if you have good breathing practice, your voice is supported well. So always make sure that you're actually breathing from your diaphragm. And I understand that as teachers, we have to speak quite often and quite a lot. So again, of course, one of the things that we do stress upon in our workshops is how you plan, how you do your lesson planning, where you're actually having a mix of different kinds of activities, where there are activities you're speaking more, there are activities where you're speaking less, so that you are also managing your voice. right? So one tip that I told you is working on your breath, and one of the things that you could actually do is take a feather and keep it up and blow it into the air, right? And that would help you with your voice a lot. That is one. The other that I would say that you could actually do is imagine your voice as different things. For example, different characters from a story. Okay, so if there is a very what do you say, mighty character, that mighty character is going to actually have a very heavy voice, right? That's where you speak from your stomach. And if there is a very weak character, a scared character, that character is actually going to speak a lot from the head voice. And the head voice is going to be more like that. Yeah, I'm very scared. I don't want to go out. Yeah, and the stomach voice is going to be heavy. So it's going to be something like 3, 5, 4, fum. You know, I can smell the blood of Englishmen. Yeah, so that's kind of, you identify with different characters and you work with different resonators. That's the kind of work actually we do a lot with teachers to help them make their work very engaging and interesting in the online space. But right now, for me to indulge into a lot of them will not be possible, which is why I just wanted to share a few quick tips with you here. But if ever we meet again, in the virtual space or in the physical space, I would love to, do a voice work with you all. So I hope that answers your question and sparks some curiosity in you.
Thank you. But do you feel it's so easy to do what you did it?
So I'm going to be very honest. Nothing in life is easy. You have to put in the effort. You have to make sure that you practice. You're disciplined about it, and you practice it often before you master it, right? And then it will become easy for you. So it wasn't easy when I started on. It is years of practice and years of discipline that has brought me in this space where I can switch from one resonator to the other. So, but it's not something that you can't do. All of this stuff is very doable. I have to also say that. So yes, it's going to take you a while, but if you stay at it and if you practice diligently, you will become a master and it will be easy for you.
Thank you so much, Kirti. I asked you this question because I take a session for my students on storytelling, and the main crux of storytelling is all about voice modulation. Anyone can narrate a story, but if there is no voice modulation, I believe there is no charm in the story. So that's the reason I wanted you to highlight this for my students, because they are also a part of this session. Thank you so much. And I believe that nothing is easy. Everything requires practice. The more you practice, you become not perfect, but you master and you become confident. That is what I believe. Thank you. There are some more appreciation for the team members. Very informative session. As you said, that there is a demand from the participant that they want you back again for a few more sessions. And I'm sure with this feedback, you all have understood that the objective of this particular session has been achieved. A lot of good, I would say, people have really, they've said that it's an excellent session. They have learned a lot from your session. They have learned a lot from your session. It was a creative session and effective session. There are some teachers who have shared that they use these strategies as icebreakers in their classrooms, and it has added to their knowledge. And they have got a variety of variations that they can bring about. You have also given our students and us to begin and start teaching drama-based learning in our classrooms, not thinking that we have matured students. It doesn't matter how the students are. It all matters with creativity. And I would say it's very important that we leave our inhibitions when we are doing drama, because if you're not natural, I think it doesn't serve the purpose. You need to be natural. You cannot be artificial when you're doing drama. So thank you very much, Tasneem
Ma'am,
ma'am.
there is one question that I don't mind answering actually because
Yes,
we
yes,
get it a
please.
lot. And that question is about time. And it says, do we have a time limit? We and we want to give more. Oh, okay. Did I misunderstand that question? But anyway, I am going to just talk about time because it is not untrue again that these activities do take a little longer sometimes than your class. However, over time, we have found that the teachers that we do work with work around that. Yes. They use drama-based activities as a stimuli or a starting point for a longer investigation, and then let that work go into either written work or collaborative work or work that is more text-based. So yes, it does take a little more time, but I promise you it pays off when you realize the retention and and the curiosity is that much higher. We get that question very, very often. So I think I just read it as that the minute I read time. But I thought it was important to share here.
I would like to ask that how much time does it take for these sessions? Like approximately, what suggestion would you give us to teachers? Like how many periods can they keep for such type of teaching,
Sure.
so that the timetable can be adjusted? Do you think morning is a better time, or an evening, afternoon time would be a better time for such type of activities?
Sure. Let me share it. Let me share this again. What we do is we say this is part of any and every class. So it's not really a separate class, right? So in that sense, if your math class happens to be after lunch, then let's use a drama-based activity to get the kids up and ready and then get into a classroom. However, if you're, so we use it differently. And honestly, there are activities that will suit any time of the day. We encourage our teachers to then pick the activities carefully from their toolbox, saying, what do you think will work best right now? Were your kids high energy right now? Would you want to calm them down before starting your class? Or are they really sloppy and sleepy? Do you want to wake them up? Right? So this is really, again, the design thinking element where the teachers pick from the toolbox. And then I'm saying that it actually fits into every class. So how much time do you give? But at the end of the day, I just know that a school has a structured timetable, and any of this has to fit into that structure. So when we walk into a school, the school will tell us what the structure of the school is. And it's not like any of us are in a position to or want to change that. So if a school has a half an hour class or a 40-minute class, 45-minute class, we say, okay, what can we do with this time? Yes, maybe we plan something that allows us to do a stimuli activity in the very beginning or the first 5 minutes, and then continue with the textbook, for example. Or I need to do a larger, longer investigation because I need them to plan together and then do it. Maybe I'll do it over 2 classes or 3 classes. So it's really the teacher looking at what do I have to work with? How do I divide it in my time? Which is why I emphasize the value of planning here. And that's something we learned from the education world as theater practitioners, that the lesson plan started becoming something that we believe in so strongly now, because we just know that without that, we don't have a structure. And without the structure, we're just not going to have the best class. So
thank you so much. We look forward for more sessions from you, Tasneem ma'am, for our participants as well as for our BTTC students, and for us too, because even I believe we all are lifelong learners, ma'am, and we definitely need to update ourselves every year and every time as you enter the class. Thank you so much. I now request my student Sharmeen Ansari to propose the formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all of you. Appreciation can make a day, even change a life. Your willingness to put it into words is all that is necessary. I, Sharmeen Ansari, on behalf of Bombay Teachers Training College, take this privilege to propose the formal vote of thanks for this amazing session. It is rightly said, great theatre is about challenging how we think and encouraging us to fantasize about a world we aspire to. A 21st century education is about providing students the skills they need to succeed in this new world. And these are not just the technological skills, but these are the skills we need to learn and make students learn about the new things the way they think. Drama is an important tool for preparing students to learn and work in a world which is entirely team oriented. and this will help students to learn about emotions, problem solving, and how they relate to other individuals, which was very well explained to us today by our esteemed resource persons, Ms. Tasneem Fatehi ma'am, Ms. Kriti Tiwari ma'am, and Ms. Sri Vidya Srinivas ma'am. They spoke about the importance of drama in education, which uses an art form of drama as an educational pedagogy for students of all ages. It incorporates elements of an actor's training to facilitate the students' physical, emotional, social, and cognitive development. Theatre in education is used to encourage an effective learning in schools. It calls for careful consideration of the audience's age and the requirements in order to encourage them and get the message across. Ma'am, this was indeed a very informative and a helpful session for all of us. And the exercises that you made us do were just amazing. Thank you once again for taking time out from your busy schedule and in gracing this event.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Behind any successful event, there is a team which works tirelessly. To begin with, I would like to express my gratitude to our in-charge principal, Dr. Bhagwan Balani sir, and the faculty of the Bombay Teachers Training College, who continues to inspire us to work with zeal and dedication. I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Lubna Mansoori ma'am for supervising and moderating this session. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity and guiding me. I would also like to express my gratitude to Arwa, Jill, and the BIAP team for their technical assistance. I am also grateful to our student volunteers, Ms. Diane Gonzalez, Ms. Monica Singh, and Ms. Afia Sheikh for their hard work and dedication. I would also like to appreciate the efforts of the council members and the social media team. Last but not the least, our wonderful audience who were a part of this session and made this a successful one. Thank you once again, all of you.
Thank you
I
so
would now
much.
request. Yes.
Thank you so
I'll
much.
just say,
Yes, yeah, please
I'll
go
just
on.
tell
Sorry.
I would now invite you all for another interesting session that will be held tomorrow, that is on 20th of October at 11 a.m. on the topic Metamorphosis by our resource person, Ms. Azmin Zubin ma'am. Thank you once again, and I now request you all to please rise for the national anthem.
It is not playing, Lubna.
Priya ma'am, we will sing.
Okay.
Jana Gana Mana
Nayak
Nayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat
Maratha Dravida Uchala Banga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchala Jaladhi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashish Mage Gahe Tava Jaya Gatha Janagana Mangala Dayak Jaya
He
Bharat Bhagya
Bhagya
Vidhata
Vidhata
Jaya He
Jaya
Jaya He Jaya 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 He. Thank you. Thank you once again to all the resource person. We end this session and we meet up tomorrow at 11 o'clock for the next session. Thank you.